Hello, everyone, and welcome to this year's new batch of Reallusion webinars. My name is Enoc Burgos, and I will be your host today. So today's webinar, we're going to cover CrazyTalk Animator 2, and we're going to go through, talking about the benefits, the advantages, and then doing the fun part, which is the live demo. This is to show you how easy CrazyTalk Animator 2 can be used to create characters and animations in less than 20 minutes. So before we start, I'd like to remind you that we have some important steps that have been here on the screen for a while. This is to give you a better viewing experience. So we need you to adjust the audio settings and also to expand the questions and chat section at the bottom. Okay, and obviously if you're downloading anything or streaming something else, we recommend that you turn this off so that you dedicate your entire bandwidth to this webinar. Now, I do have to remind you that depending on where you are in the world, you may experience some type of lag visually or in the audio. So don't worry, what we're trying to do here is that we're trying to record this webinar live on this end. So in about 2 hours time, once this 1 hour webinar finishes, we will be uploading this video for you to watch later on. Okay, so great. If you have any questions, please write them down, save them, because at the end of the webinar, we're going to have about 15 to 20 minutes to answer your questions live. So, we're going to have everyone on mute right now. And at the end, I will be able to answer your questions about 15 to 20 minutes right before we end. So great, let's start. So this is the outline of what we're going to cover. I'm going to mention the advantages of using CrazyTalk. Why is it so special? Why do people talk about CrazyTalk? Then I'm going to go into the live demo. I'm going to briefly mention who uses CTA, followed by showing you some actual showcases of real people who use CrazyTalk in different fashions. And then at the end, we're going to do a quick Q&A. I do have 15 minutes for the Q&A, but actually we'll have a bit more because the review and awards is very fast. I just skim over this slide. So let's start then. As most of you know, CrazyTalk has been around for some time. Originally, we had the CrazyTalk standalone series, which was only for facial animation. But then about 3 years ago, we came out with the first CrazyTalk Animator, which allowed users to not just animate their face anymore, but also to animate their bodies. So this was the evolution of CrazyTalk. So we still have two product lines. We have the original CrazyTalk, which is in its 7th version right now, CrazyTalk 7, and that is only for facial animation. And we also have CrazyTalk Animator, which is for face and body. And CrazyTalk Animator, its latest version is edition number 2. That's the one we're going to cover today. So what are the advantages of CrazyTalk? Well, there's lots of advantages with this software. Mainly that if you want to get into 2D animation, this is a great startup tool. The main reason is because it does not require you to have extensive experience in animating. You also do not have to be an artist. So if you don't know how to draw, that's not a problem. You don't need to know how to draw. You just have to have a vision in your mind of the story you want to tell, and the tool will help you with everything else. So for this reason, CrazyTalk is a gateway tool for teachers and students. They can use this in the classroom, they can recreate history, they can use it in different class subjects. We also have graphic designers that use CrazyTalk to reanimate some of their work and repose some of their work. We have comic creators who use CrazyTalk for its lightning lip syncing abilities, and also Flash designers who wish to quickly set up characters and transfer their motions from one character to another. So with CrazyTalk, as I mentioned, you don't need to be an artist. This is because the application comes chock full of content. This includes characters, it includes props, it includes animations. And if you would like to create your own, you can do this. You have the base tools inside to create your own animations and also to assemble your own characters based on different facial parts that we have. This is what we call the avatar creation system. So you get a bunch of facial sprites for the eyes, for the hands, for the mouth, and you can combine these to build your own custom character. So just to give you a quick heads up, a sprite is a part, okay? So in the eyes, for example, when we have this character here called Emma, you see that she's blinking her eye. So in an animation, how does this happen? Basically, the software has a sprite or an image of one of her eyes that's opened, and then it has the same eye, but it has also an image of that eye that is closed. So when you animate in real time, the software will instantly replace that open eye with a closed eye and then instantly replace it back. So this will give you the illusion as if she just blinked her eye. So this is what we call sprite animation, where the software automatically replaces these parts for you to simulate an animation. Okay, so with all this, you can imagine that you can create very unique personalities. If you have a little creativity, you can play around with different facial parts and you can create almost anyone. And this is what we're going to do today. So in CrazyTalk, we have, we have two types of characters. We have a sprite-based character, which is what I just explained, and we also have a morph-based character, which is, in layman's term, is just a character that was built from a photograph or an image. So the difference is that in sprite-based character, the software will animate by instantly replacing the sprites, as I mentioned. But in the morph-based character, it will animate that face by stretching and morphing the pixels. This again will simulate that animation look with the character. So if you want him to smile, it'll stretch those pixels upwards on the corners of the mouth so as to give you the illusion that that character is smiling. So as you can imagine, this allows you to create characters very, very quickly. You can bring in a photograph and you can start dropping in facial points to that character. And then you can instantly grab that face of a character and add it to another body. So you just created a character from an image. Mind you that this is only for the face. You need to use one of the pre-made bodies that come inside, or you can build your own with one of the content packs that we have. CrazyTalk has also what we call the instant render style. This is basically a tool that allows you to quickly change the color theme of any character, any prop, any background, or any scene. So unlike traditional animation tools where you would have to manually recolor everything and then you would have to redo the entire animation, with CrazyTalk, that's not the case. You can do your project, you can finish everything. You can finish your character, do the animation, and at the very end, if you choose to change the color theme, you can open the render style option and quickly change to one of the presets we have, or if you have the advanced version, you can manually adjust different color segments. And you don't have to lose anything. You can continue with the same animation, with the same project. And as you can imagine, this saves a lot of time because you can instantly recolorize everything and you don't have to redo your whole project. Another important tool that we have with CrazyTalk, a big advantage, is that we have the automatic facial animation. So the cool part about this is that CrazyTalk will use the power of your voice to automatically animate the lips of your character. So when we think about that, that's pretty cool because it means that basically your voice is driving the animation. And this is done with the extensive phoneme library that is built into CrazyTalk Animator. And I'll show you that in a while. So just like we have the automatic lip syncing, we also have the motion template and editing feature. This allows you to choose many different presets for animation, add this to your character, and then customize that animation if you'd like to. So just to give you a quick example, if you wanted to create a simple animation, like a walk animation with other tools, you would have to manually move the left foot, then move the body, then move the right foot, then, consecutively. And it would take some time to create that simple walking animation. and that's time that you lose from working on other projects. So with CrazyTalk, the advantage is that you have all these basic animations already inside of the software. And with this tool, the body puppeteering panel, you can choose a basic walk motion, and then you can customize the speed, you can customize the tempo, you can choose if you want the character to spread its knees apart if you want, or you can choose if you want the ankle to have a little limp. So you can basically customize that in real time, and you can generate your own animation with this very easy panel, simply by sliding some of these sliders inside, and later saving that animation to anything you like. CrazyTalk Animator 2 also has another feature, which is the universal multi-dimensional characters. This is what we call the G2 characters, or the Generation 2 characters. These are basically 2D characters that come in 10 different angles. So just like you see here, we have the front-facing angle, we have 45, we have 90, we have I forgot my numbers here. We have 180 at the side, 270, and then so the idea here is that these specialized characters have all these angles built into them. And if you rotate your character, the software will automatically replace those sprites to the angle that you want, so as to simulate that the character is moving around in 3D. So when you think about it, it's actually pretty clever, because the software is doing all the work for you. And this is done thanks to all the presets and the sprites that are built into that character already. So I'm going to show you that in a while too. This obviously gives you another advantage, that now we can grab real 3D motions and apply them to 2D characters. So if you're familiar with iClone, with our software, that's a 3D animating tool, you can grab some of these 3D motions and bring them directly into CrazyTalk Animator 2. Likewise, if you have created your own 3D animations via a motion capturing tool, let's say you went to a studio or you purchased a 3D motion from an external community like Daz 3D or something, you can bring that file as a BVH file, which is very, very common in the industry, or you can bring it as an FBX file. Okay, this is also a motion file. And we have a converter called 3D Exchange. With this converter, you can change that file format into an iMotion, which is the proprietary format that we have for iClone, and obviously for CrazyTalk Animator. So you can bring in your own 3D motions externally and use them in CrazyTalk Animator 2. So if this is not cool, I really don't know what is. Another advantage is the scene creation. So CrazyTalk Animator is a 2D animation tool, but it's actually a 3D engine. So this allows you to bring in different props and layer them in a 3D space. This gives you the ability to simulate depth in a scene. And you can put props way in the back or way in the front. So when you're panning your camera, it gives the illusion as if you're inside a real 3D space. And you can do this thanks to all the props that allow you to create your own scene. Okay, so this is what I mentioned here. We, besides having all the tools, you also have cameras, and you can move these cameras about. So if you set up all your props in your scenes like this in 3D space, you later just have to pan your camera, and this will give you the illusion as if all your props are layered or are assembled in a real 3D space out there. And besides being able to use all the content that comes with the software, you're also able to go online and acquire additional content. We have two places. We have the online store, the official Reallusion online store, where you can purchase additional content packs made by Reallusion. But we also have the marketplace, which is a public platform where you can search for content made by other artists or other people from around the world. You can find tons of content there. You can find free props, free animations, And if you create your own stuff, you can actually open your own store and sell it for a profit on the marketplace. So it's actually a pretty neat idea when you think about it, that when you buy into CrazyTalk, you're not just buying a product. You're buying your way into this community. You're being part of this community of global artists. And you can exchange projects with them, you can sell stuff, you can purchase stuff. So you're part of that community already. Great, so enough of that. Let's start with the fun stuff. We're going to do the live demo. And the first part is where I'm going to show you how to customize a character. I'm going to go into the content library and I'm going to customize my very own character based on the parts that we have inside. So let me go out and open my CrazyTalk Animator 2. So here's the software. It's pretty easy to use. We have the top toolbar, then we have the left side toolbar, and I can move this around if I'd like to. We also have the content manager. So the content manager is basically a fancy word for library per se, a virtual library. And then we have the bottom toolbar here, which allows you to play everything back and open the timeline. So what do we want to do? We want to create our own character, right? So I can go to project here, and we have several projects. I can go then to actor, and we can see several actors that we have inside. Give me a second. Okay. Then I can go to animation, and we have lots of different animation templates. And then scenes and special effects. So let's go back to actor. And I will choose one of the pre-made characters that we have inside. I have a lot of folders that I've installed. So let me get one of the base characters here called Walter. Here we go. And I want to show you something. You see that this icon here, we have a G2 icon and an RS. This means that this character is a G2 or Generation 2 character. And it has 10 different angles automatically built into him. This also, the RS means that he's compatible with the render style feature. So I can use the render style option to colorize this character very, very easily by changing to different themes. And I'll show you that in a while. So I can double click on Walter, or I can drag and drop into my window. Let me zoom in a bit. And that's Walter. Say hello, Walter. So as I mentioned, he's a G2 character, and he already comes with 10 different angles. So how does this work? I can select him and I can go to the left toolbar where it says 3D Motion Key Editor. I can also use the M hotkey to open this. And I will be opening this right now. And now you see that I have my character. So if I, for example, turn this to 45 or 90, you will see that Walter will rotate to that angle. See that? And likewise to the other side. So what the software is doing is that it's automatically replacing all these sprites for me. Now, if I don't want to use the 3D Motion Key Editor, I can use my keyboard and the hotkeys to do this. I can do this with the brackets, okay? Right bracket and left bracket. Great. So let's start customizing Walter. He's selected, and what I want to do is that I want to go into the backstage, or what I call the character composer. So a good analogy would be like a dressing room. Right now, we're in the main stage. This is where all the animation and all the action happens. So imagine that he's on a stage in a theater, on the main stage in front of the audience. And if you would like him to change outfits, you have to take him back to the dressing room. So this is the character composer, his dressing room. So we have him selected, and I'm going to take him to the back. Now I have the ability to play around with Walter. So the first thing we're going to do is we're going to change his face. I'm going to zoom in. And for this, we're going to go into the content manager again. We're going to go to head. And I want to go to face. So we have head and we have face. And now I can choose from different types of facial profiles. So I can choose this face 04. I'll double click. And the software automatically knows that I want to replace the face. So I give him a little round chubby face there. Or I could choose to give him this phase 06. Let's see what that looks like. Oh no, that won't work. So let's try this phase 03. Oh, before we continue, I'd like to mention that what I want to do is create a Johnny Depp look-alike character. So I'm going to use this because I do know that Johnny Depp has sort of a goatee and a very sculptured face with high cheekbones. So we're going to use this face here. Next, I want to do something about those eyebrows. So I'm going to go into the brow section, and I'm going to go inside, and I can choose any of these eyebrows that we have. Now, I already installed another content pack called the G2 Head Composer folder. I'm sorry, the G2 Head Composer Kit Vol.1. This is one of the content packs that we have that provide you with additional facial features. So I installed this one because I want to use this brow 05. So I'll double click on this, and CrazyTalk will replace these eyebrows with that one. Okay, that's good. Now let's go into the eyes. He's got a little crazy look in his eye there. So let's change that a bit. We have different eye templates, and I think I know which one I want to use. I wish to use this one, eye 02. So I'll click on this one here. I kind of like this type of eyes because it has these dark shadows under his eyes. So I do feel that Johnny Depp has that. What else? Let's do something about that nose. So I'm going to go into nose, and I could select any one of these. I think this nose 03 might work. This is one of the default noses that we have. Yeah, I think this could do. And next, let's go into mouth. Okay, we have different mouth shapes. And again, I wish to tap into one of those content packs that I installed. And this is because I want this mouth 03, that has a little mustache and a goatee and a little, soul patch right under the mouth. Now, as you see, our character is starting to look like Johnny. And the last thing I like to do with his head is I want to do something about that hair. So I'm going to go into hair, go into my folder, and we have a lot of hair types here. Now, you might notice that some of these hairstyles are for female, but that doesn't matter because I can actually play around with this. Let me show you how. I'm going to use this hair 09, and if I double click on it, you'll see that he sort of looks like Marilyn. No, he doesn't look like Marilyn. He looks like, I don't know. He looks like a band member, someone that plays the bass or something. So we're going to use this, and I'm going to change the color. Remember that he had the RS icon for render style, so he's compatible with the render style option. So for this, I'm going to go here to the left, render style, and I'm going to open this panel. And with this, I have the option to instantly change his color theme. Look at that. I choose line art. I can choose grayscale. I can choose neon or cartoon art, I'm sorry, like cardboard. Okay, or I can go back to my default. So because I have the pipeline version, I also have the advanced settings. I believe the CrazyTalk Animator Pro, the Pro version, also has the advanced settings. I would have to check on that. But this allows me to manually change that color theme. So we have different group names here. So I will choose hair, any type of hair, and I'll make sure that it says affect same group. Okay, so I will be affecting all the hair. So then I can lower the brightness, and I can increase the contrast if I'd like. And I just gave my Johnny character black hair. Okay, then I can do something about those highlights. I can change the contrast and make it gray. Oh, there we go. This looks more like Johnny Depp. I believe you would agree. So I think we're good. Let's stick to that. Let me close the render style. And let me zoom out because we're going to do something about that body. So the same way that we played around with the head, we can do with the body. I'll go back here to the content manager. Okay, we're in head. We're going to go now to body. And we're going to do the same thing. I'm going to go to upper, and I'm going to go into one of my folders because I already know what I wish to use. We have a white t-shirt with a little chain, gold chain on it. So we're going to replace that tie, that neck and tie shirt. Okay, this looks good. And let's do something about the lower one. So we're going to go to lower. Let's choose something out here. No, I don't like this selection. So let's go into one of our folders. So it's pretty easy. Just click or drag and drop if you'd like. And right about there. Now we have our brand new Johnny Depp character. And I can rotate him. And he already has all those different facial and body sprites built into him. Look at that. That's pretty nice. So once I'm done with my character, I can choose to update. So I just have to go back to stage, and this will automatically update my character. Great. So we see how simple and easy that was. The next part of the live demo is where I wish to create an animation scene. So I'm going to use different props, and I'm going to layer them in different distances to create my own city scene. So let's do this. I'm going to zoom out a bit. This is done simply by scrolling with my mouse wheel up or down. And if I want to multiply that effect, I can hold down the Shift key on my keyboard, and this will multiply that movement by 10. So that makes it pretty easy when you want to move something out of the way. So I'll put Johnny there. And the first thing I want to do is apply a background. So I can go inside and I can start searching in my scenes, and I can start grabbing my props and building my own background. Or I can actually open my own folder. If I'm on Windows or I'm on Mac, I can open my own image folder that has PNGs or JPEGs or BMPs, and I can directly drag and drop one of these images to either create a prop or even create a background or an image plane. So when you think about it, it's pretty cool that CrazyTalk allows you to do this. You simply drag and drop. You don't have to go through any complicated import procedures. So I'm in my folder, and I grab this, and I just drop it inside. And as soon as I bring it in, CrazyTalk will ask me, okay, you wish to create your own media. So what would you like to do with this image? Do you want to create a prop, an image layer, or a background? So I'm going to choose a background. And now we have that blue sky. Great. So what's the next part? Let's go into my content manager, and I'm going to start dropping in some of the pre-made props that we have. So I will bring in this skyline and drop it inside, and I can zoom out to make it fit. Don't worry about Johnny. We can scale him later on. Okay, let's select him and move him out of the way for now. And then I'm going to bring in this skyline A and place this in front of this one. And I'm going to scale this. So as you see, this is very easy. Anybody can do this. You simply have to have a little patience. And I think that's okay. Let's bring this up a bit to cover that blue part at the bottom. Great. Okay. And what about a road? Let's give this part a road. So we have this one, road B, and I'm going to drop this inside, just like that. Let me expand this a bit to cover that entire area in the bottom. Now, don't worry if you go out of that edge. You notice that we have a blue rectangle frame around everything. This is what we call the safe area. So basically it means that everything that's inside that area will appear in your final animation. That's the reference point for the view of your animation. Okay, like that. And let's add a road. Road A. Just like that. Let me stretch this down. Hold up. And I like how this looks. Yes. So previously I mentioned that CrazyTalk is a 2D animation tool, but you're actually working in a 3D environment. So let me show you what I'm talking about. I'm going to go up here to the top toolbar where it says 3D View, and I'll click on that. And then I'll move everything to the side. And I think now you can see what's happening. I'm actually in a 3D space, and I've layered my props one on top of another. So if I select my first city skyline, I double click on it, we'll have this gizmo that will appear. So I can push this to the back, and then I can grab this, the other city skyline, and I can bring this back, and I can do the same for the road. Okay, so what I'm doing here is basically simulating that 3D space between each prop. So why do we want to do that? That will allow us, when we start moving our camera, that'll give us this perception of depth in our scene. So if I move things around, you will see, maybe a bit, you'll notice that this skyline moves in front of the other one. You barely notice it. So if I want to increase that effect, then it's fairly simple. What I do is that I will bring this one way in the back, give it more distance. I have to scale it later on. So it's way in the back. I'm going to scale it a bit to cover that entire area. Okay. Just like that. Let me bring this down. Great. So now if I pan and zoom with my camera, you can see this gray one in front of the other one, and you can see sort of a 3D effect as I move things around. Do you see that? Okay, that's the depth perception that we have thanks to the 3D environment inside. Great. So let's continue here. I will now bring in this store, and I will drop this prop in front. And I'm going to show you, if I wish to bring in another one, obviously I can just drag and drop another prop, and that'll basically give me two of them. Or I can select this one and hold down my command keyboard button, my command key. If I'm using a Mac, I can hold command. And if I'm using the Windows version, you want to hold the control key. Just hold it down, select your prop is selected, then move to the side, drag to the side, and you will automatically duplicate that prop. Later on, I can put it close to this one, hold command again or control, and I can select both of them, and I can resize them. Okay, so I can save a lot of work and effort this way. So I bring in another prop, hold the command or control key down, then drag to the side, and I can duplicate it. Then select the first one. I can scale it down a bit. Command, select both of them, and I can rescale them. Now this is very easy and saves a lot of time. What do you think about that? So let's finish this up. I will bring in a lamppost on the corner, and I want a traffic light on the other corner. Great. Now we have our city scene. So I'm going to grab my Johnny character, and I will bring him up. I will scale him up, and I'm going to put him in my scene over there. Scale him down a bit. Let me zoom in. Okay, just like that. We're almost done. The last thing I want to do is that I wish to drop in this crosswalk. I forgot to do this, so let me do this quickly. I'll bring in this crosswalk here, and I will expand this to fit the street. Great. What about the other side? Let's do that too. I think that looks okay. Don't worry if things are outside of that blue rectangle area, because that's okay. That's not going to be in your scene. And we're good. So great. We have just set up our city scene with my character inside. The next step will be where I wish to animate my character. I will animate my 2D character in a 3D space. So what we're going to do here is that we're going to do a basic 3D walking motion. And I'm going to have my character walk, and then I'm going to have him rotate in different angles. So what we need to do first is I will select my Johnny character and I wish for him to turn to the right. So I'll select him and then I'm going to go to my keyboard and press the key for right bracket. And this will rotate him, and then I'll do it again, and we just rotated him 90 degrees. Great. Now I want to drop in a 3D walking motion. So I'm going to go into the content manager. I'm going to go into animation. Then I'm going to go to motion, expand that. 3D, let me expand that too. And I'm going to go to move. We have different types of animations. I have move, I have idle, talking, perform, dancing. So let's go to move here. And we have different preset animations. So I want him to walk in a happy way. And I know which one I want to use. I want to use this one, walk happy. So I will drag and drop this animation onto Johnny. And as soon as I let go, he will perform that animation. And we see at the bottom that the time scrub actually moved. This is because it performed that animation. So if I click on stop, the time scrub will reset to the start and play, and you'll see him walk, and then it'll stop because that animation is it's limited for just a small walking cycle. So if we want to duplicate this over and over again to have him walk continuously, it's very easy. Let me click on stop here to return the time scrub to the beginning. I can also scrub forward, and I'm going to open the timeline. I can do this by pressing the F3 key. Okay. The timeline might seem a bit complicated, but it's not. Let me show you a little trick. What I like to do is that I just like to focus on one thing at a time. So right now, I don't care about this traffic light or this store or the whole other props in my city scene. I just want to open the timeline track for my Johnny character. So this is a cool little trick. Just click on Johnny, make sure he's selected. Okay, let's click on stop so everything is to the start. This is the time scrub. Okay, that I'm dragging here. And now that I have Johnny selected, I can go to this option, this button here called Object Related Track. This is very important because it makes things a lot easier to find. If I select this, if I click on it, this will automatically open the timeline track for this character, which originally was called Walter, remember? So this will open my timeline track for that. And since I'm working with a 3D motion, I want to see the track. So I'll click on 3D motion, and this will open that move walk happy animation that we just dropped in. I can expand this a little bit if we want to see it better. Okay. So it's actually very simple. We have our Walter track, our character here, and we have this animation, this 3D animation on him. So the timeline, if I move this timeline scrub, you'll see that he'll be performing that animation up until this point. There's no animation after that, so that's why he stays still. So what I can do here is obviously I can choose to just drop in the same animation over and over again, or I can do it in a more elegant way. Up here we have an option called loop. So make sure that's selected. Then at the very end of your animation, place your mouse cursor over that. You're going to see this little plus and arrow icon appear. So just click on that and drag to the side and keep on dragging until you duplicate that as many times as you like. So I think I'll do this about maybe 5 times. Let's see. Yeah. So now if I play this back, he'll walk, 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 all the way to the end. Okay, pretty easy. Great. So now you might ask, okay, Enoc, but he's not moving. He's just walking, standing there, doing the walk motion, but he's not moving. How do we do that? So that's what we call if you want him to move from one position to another, that is what we call a transform movement. And we have the timeline up here for transform. So this will dictate the position of my character in that moment. So here with the time scrub, we're in moment 0 or time 0 per se, and we have a little dot there. That dot, that keyframe, is telling me that in that moment of time 0, Johnny is right here. My Walter character is standing in this spot. And from now on, if there is no other keyframe in the future, he will continue to be in that very same spot. So what I wish to do is that, let's say I want him to walk from there, maybe to that point in time, I want him to move over here. So it's easy. I simply have to drag my character and set him here. If the time scrub is in the future and I move him to the new position I want him in the future, we're going to set up a keyframe in that position for that new position in the future. So, but before I do that, I need to do one important thing. This is a mistake that a lot of people make. Because I am using this 3D motion, what you want to do is that you want to flatten that motion clip before you start adding new transform positions, before you start changing angles. So we do this by right-clicking, and then we have an option called Flatten Motion Clip. And if I click on this, this will flat everything out, and we no longer have different segments. We don't no longer have that 3D motion in different parts. We have one entire motion. And I can play this back, and you can see that. Okay. So let's say I want him to walk. He'll take 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 steps. And this, I'm going to stop this where the time scrub is in the future. And now, since he's selected, I'm going to drag him, and I'm going to place him where I want him to be in the future, right there. And as soon as I let go, you see two things happening. One, we have just created a new keyframe, and that has been added into our transform timeline. Two, you see down here, we see a little line, a line from the first keyframe, which was this one, and that line is connecting to the second keyframe, which is that one down there. So now if I play this back, he'll walk from one position to the next, and he'll stop there because I haven't given him any other direction after that. He'll continue in that same position. Okay, so now what I want to do, let me zoom out a bit here. What I wish to do at this point here, I want to rotate Johnny to face the camera a little. So we know how to do this. In my keyboard, I'm going to go to the bracket keys. And this time I'm going to click on the left bracket key because I want him to turn. Oh, sorry, I need to select Johnny. Okay, and then bracket left, and he will turn. Great. And then I'm going to play the animation, walk, 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 right about here. And I'm going to create another keyframe, another position, transform keyframe. So I'm going to drag him all the way down. Okay, so we have 1, 2, 3 different positions. So what happens? Let's play. Walk. He's going to turn right there and go down and then stop. Okay, the time scrub will continue if you don't stop this. So let's stop. Let's bring him back to the very end of this here. So right there, that walking cycle finishes. So that's good because as soon as it finishes, I want Johnny to face forward, completely face forward. So I'm going to make sure he's selected. I'm going to click on, tap on the left bracket key again. Now he's facing forward. And what I want to do, let me close this down. Now what I want to do is that I wish for him to adopt a default pose. He's got the end of that walking pose, right? So I can go forward, but he'll still keep with that walking pose. So right about there, I want him to go back to his default pose. Now a little way to cheat, to do this very easy, is to go to the left side toolbar and open the 2D motion key editor. I like to do this because down here we have a button that says default pose. This will basically reset your character to the original default pose. So if I click on it, now he has that default pose, and it sort of simulates as if he's just standing still now. So let's play this back. walk, walk, rotate, walk down, rotate again, and stop. Great. So easy. So let me zoom in now, and we're going to go into the next part where I'm going to have Johnny say something. So this is the next step where I'm going to add an automatic lip sync to the character. So I select Johnny, and I go to the left side toolbar, and I'm going to click on Create Script, this little record icon there. And I can choose if I wish to record my voice. I can use a text-to-speech engine if my computer has one, or I can drop in a pre-recorded WAV file or an MP3 file, or I can open a script that I saved last week per se. So I'm going to go into Record Voice, and I'm going to choose my input device. So built-in microphone, yes, and I can simply record myself. So let's try this. Hello everyone, and welcome to CrazyTalk Animator 2. Great. So then I'm going to click on OK, and as soon as I click on OK, CrazyTalk will go into the phoneme library. It'll first analyze my audio. Then it's going to go into the phoneme library, and it's going to look for those mouth shapes that look like the sound that I'm making. So if I have an ah, it'll go into the phoneme library and look for a sprite where the mouth is wide open as if it's saying an A, pronouncing the A letter. So let's click on OK. This will be done automatically by CrazyTalk. Hello everyone, and welcome to CrazyTalk Animator 2. Now that is cool. Automatically done by CrazyTalk. Let me move the time scrub backwards a bit. Hello everyone, and welcome to CrazyTalk Animator 2. Nice. Okay, so this is what I mean with the automatic lip syncing. The software does all the work for you. And the last part here is I'm going to go into the content manager, animation, dance, and I'm going to give him a little victory dance. I'm going to choose this Michael Jackson, this MJ dance, and just drop it onto him. Tee-hee. There we go. So that's the last part. So let me zoom out a bit. I'm going to play the entire animation for you. Walk, walk, turn, walk down, turn, default pose. Hello everyone, and welcome to CrazyTalk Animator 2. Nice. And there we go. And we have just created our entire scene. We created our character, we created our scene, and we created our animation in about 25 minutes or so. So as I mentioned, this is one of the powers of CrazyTalk because it's so fast and you don't have to have any artistic skills or even any previous animations experience with this. You can just drag and drop and use your creativity with CrazyTalk. Great. So this ends the live demo part. What we're going to do now is that I'll just quickly give you an idea of who uses CrazyTalk Animator. So because of its flexibility and the speed with which you can create stuff, this CrazyTalk is adopted by business people. We have teachers, educators, students, graphic artists, video makers, people who want to create composite videos with their 2D characters. And obviously, we also have animators that want to use the quick tools that we have inside. So we have professional studios. I don't know if you've heard about the Jimmy Kimmel Live show. They've actually used CrazyTalk a couple of times in their show. And we talked to one of their lead animators named Jesse Griffith. And he says that the reason they use CrazyTalk is because of the speed. When you have to do something on a daily schedule, you need a tool like CrazyTalk because it takes all the hard work, all the hours of production out of that equation. So you can simply use the software and you can start animating things and finish in a couple of hours if you need to. We also have comic developers that use CrazyTalk to animate the lips of the character. As you saw, what we did here with the Johnny character, the automatic lip syncing does all the work for you. And this can be done with sprite-based characters and morph-based characters. We also have professional studios like iTech Studios that use CrazyTalk to create their own cartoons and their own animations. And finally, game and app designers. This gives you a lot of ideas that if you want to create your own app or if you want to create your own game, you need to build your content, your characters, and then you need to build your own animations. This takes a lot of time and a lot of resources. But if you have a tool like CrazyTalk, then you can save a lot of this time. You don't have to spend, money on a huge art team to create these characters for you. And you simply don't have to spend all that money on having a professional animator do these animations for you, especially a simple walk cycle like the one I showed you. Now, you might ask, well, this sounds great on paper, but what about royalties? I mean, what about copyrights? If I use one of these characters and then later I want to build my own game, do I have to pay royalty fees to Reallusion? And the answer is no. In Reallusion, we make all our content royalty free, 100% royalty free. Even the content that people in the marketplace sell, one of the policies we have is that from the moment they sell their content, it has to be royalty free, which means that if you are a purchaser, a user, and you create an animation or a character with some of the stuff we have inside, and you want to make a TV show out of this, you never have to pay royalties to Reallusion or anybody. You are free to do so as you like. You can create your own video game, you can create a TV commercial, you can create a full-length feature film with this content, and you never have to pay royalties. The only thing obviously you cannot do is grab the same character, modify him a bit, and try to resell that same character to somebody else. That's simply not allowed, obviously. But everything else is fair game. Okay, so showcases. Just some quick showcases to give you an idea what people do with CrazyTalk. Here we have Mark Stobart from the UK. Basically, he's an artist that started using CrazyTalk during the World Cup. And it was so cool because he was using these animations to attract a lot of attention. And I remember that he made this one video that gained about 2 million views in just under a month. And this was done thanks to CrazyTalk. So let me play one of these videos so you can have an idea what his animations look like. So all of this was done in CrazyTalk.
1 5 is 5, 2 5s are 10, 3 5s are... Oh, I can smell your wives. It's in the next cell. He hissed at you. What did he say? He said, I can smell your wives.
Okay, so let me go into this YouTube channel and you'll see that we've got tons of his videos inside. This one is called 44 Tunes. Let me go in. Hold up. These are a lot of the videos that we have. Okay, just to give you an idea, look at this one. This one has a week and he has about 250,000 views already. So what they do is that they parody a lot of the players with CrazyTalk. Okay.
He's such a dick.
So that's a quick idea of one of the users that we have. I'll go into another one. This one comes from Gary Pye from Australia. Now, Gary Pye has been a complete success story. He came on board creating content for CrazyTalk about less than a year ago. I think it was in May or April of last year. And now he's one of the top sellers in the CrazyTalk marketplace. So I'm going to go into his featured story. And what Gary does, he's actually an illustrator. He's a caricaturist. and he creates his own content. He has tons of beautiful props like this, and he sells these props in his own store. So if I click, for example, in his store here, give me a second. Give me a second. Graphic Reallusion store. He has a place in the market. He has his own store in the marketplace. So he creates his own content packs, and then he creates videos to sell these content packs. And naturally, he uses CrazyTalk to promote his props. Okay, so he's creating content for CrazyTalk, and then he's using the same CrazyTalk engine to make videos to promote his props. So it's kind of genius when you think about it. So these are some of the props that he sells, chairs and everything. You can see how detailed they are, beautifully made. And then he creates these videos to help promote those specific content packs that he sells. Okay, so that's Gary Pye there. So we're running out of time. I have to move this quickly. We have another showcase from David Arundel from Australia too. He has always been a very popular go-to Animate user, but recently he's been using CrazyTalk Animator also. And as he mentions in his featured story, the reason that he uses CrazyTalk Animator instead of GoToMeeting on some projects is because with CrazyTalk he has the flexibility to create his own content. He can create his own animation and he can create his own characters. Versus on Go to Animate, the website, he can only use the content that they have online at that moment. Okay? And we also have iTac Studios from Ukraine, which is another developer who has his own store, and he creates beautifully animated educational videos too. So you might want to check that out in the featured story sections that we have. So we're running out of time. Let's move quickly here. And CrazyTalk Animator comes in 3 different versions: the standard, the pro, and the pipeline. So depending on what you need to do, you have to choose a different version. So standard is basically for people who just want to quickly animate something and they don't care about customizing too much. Let's say they don't want to bring in their own face to create their own character. They don't want to bring in different body parts to modify the body or whatnot. They can use standard. If they wish to customize things a bit and bring in different body parts, then they can use the pro version. And if they want to import their own 3D motions from external sources and be able to do every which thing they wish to do in the software, then they would need the pipeline version. So after this webinar, you will be sent an email, the email that you used to register for this webinar. We're going to send you a very, very special promotion for a 50, that's 50, that's half, 50% off on content for CrazyTalk. Now, this is an exclusive offer that we like to give new users that are learning about CrazyTalk, just to give them a little bit of incentive if they wish to acquire content or if they wish to get their own content packs out there. So again, you're going to be getting an email at the very end of this webinar. And great. Now it's time for Q&A. Let's hope we have enough time for this here. So type in your questions and I'll try to answer them as quickly as I can here. Okay. The first one comes from Kevin Levesque. He says, how do you move from scene to scene? Kevin, that's a good answer. And the answer for that is basically that in CrazyTalk, we do not have the feature of moving from one scene to another. You have to create one scene at a time. And then you can start, once you have your scene, you can export this as a video. And you need to put this video together with a video editor. That's one way of doing it. Another way of doing it is basically of using different camera options. So for example, if I want to be looking at Johnny from this angle here, then I can go into my camera record mode, and I could choose to record him as he goes along. I can choose this scene here. And then in the next scene, let's say I wish to zoom out completely. Then I can zoom out, and since I'm in the record mode, this is setting keyframes for my camera. So I can do that. Now, if I play this back, this is what it looks like. Okay, and then I can choose if I wish to zoom in on him again and just stay with him for a while. So you can play around with the camera options. Okay, another way to create your own scene is to basically make another scene on this right side here. So for example, if I had a building, I can have a door, and then I can decorate my own room inside. So as Johnny is walking from the street, he can walk into that building and then into the room. And I can do that all on the same stage here. I simply have to move my camera and pan it from one side to another. That's another little trick that we can use. Now, as far as creating your own scene and then skipping from one completely different scene to another, we don't have that feature inside. What people do is that they create their 30 or 45-second animation in one scene, export that video, and then they create another scene, record that, and export that video too. And at the end, they use video editing software to post-production to put all this together. And that's the way we would do it. Okay, next question here. Maureen Mika, she says, "Holy cow, this is just wonderful. Will you please send me a replay? Been looking at CTA2 for more than a year. Your presentation really helped me get it." Okay, Maureen, we're very happy to hear that. What we're going to do is, as I mentioned, we've recorded this just in case you have any lag. And at the end, maybe in about 2 hours' time, we're going to upload this video, and we're going to be sending you the private link. So you can watch this, rewatch this webinar video anytime you choose to. And if you have the trial version, you can download the trial version for free. You can play along with your version, and you can try to emulate what I just did here. Another question comes from Jalia Escalante. She says, "Hi, I have purchased the pipeline version and I'm trying to make my own custom character, but I have problems adding the hair image I made in PNG." Okay, Jalia, yes, the pipeline version is a bit more advanced, especially if you're bringing in different types of characters. Now, what I suggest is this. You're talking about the hair image made in PNG. I believe that there's different versions of PNG. There's something like 8 something and another called 24-bit. So you might want to check what type of PNG format you're exporting, if it has a transparency in your hair or anything like that. So what we can do is that I'm going to type in, you can actually go to the forums and you could post your issue there, and we have a lot of wonderful people helping out. If you need specific help, you can also go to the Reallusion, contact the Reallusion support team, and they could provide you some help. What I can do is that I will drop in my personal email. This is my company email, and I will send to all of you here. And if you have any questions based on this, you can shoot me an email. But please mind you that I'm actually in the marketing team and I get emails from all over the world, so I might take some time to answer back at you. So if you have this issue, I might be able to help you. If not, you can post on the forum and you can get help immediately from tons of the pro users that we have from all over the world. Next question. Give me a second. Fabio Silva. He says, "I would like to know if it could be possible to set up my own character inside of CTA without having to make it in Flash or similar like Animate Studio." Okay, so you want to make your own character. Yes, you can do that, but you would have to use some of the facial and body sprites that we have inside, just like I did for the Johnny Depp character. Now, if you want to create your completely customizable, your very own original, genuine character, then yes, you would have to use external tools. You would have to use something like Photoshop or Illustrator or Flash to create the different body sprites, the different eyes in different angles, the different shapes of your mouth and everything. And then later we have a template that can allow you to import all these different body parts so that CrazyTalk can help you automatically put everything in the category it should be inside the library. But you need to have the pipeline version for this. Another question from Fabio is, and why is iClone only for Mac? iClone, okay. iClone is only for Windows right now. We only have, for Mac, we only have CrazyTalk 7 and CrazyTalk Animator 2, which is both available both in Mac version and in Windows version. For iClone, at the moment, iClone 6, we only have it in Windows. But we've gotten so many questions from people from around the world demanding that we should have iClone for Mac. So I think it's just a matter of time before our company has enough resources and manpower to build the iteration for Mac eventually. It's going to happen. We just have to be a bit more patient. Okay. Another question comes from Jason Weber. He says, will the 50% discount to be received in our email cover an upgrade from CrazyTalk Standard to CrazyTalk Pro? Jason, that's a good question. I am not sure, to be honest. What you can do is that when you get your email, you might want to reply or ask somebody in the sales department, and they can get back at you with that. From what I understand, that 50% discount is just to purchase the software or to purchase content. But again, I don't know the details about this. Unfortunately, I'm sorry about that. But you can shoot us an email, and we'll try to get back to you on that. Another question comes from Kevin Levesky. He says, I use a Mac. Will your company be adding video to be used as a scene? I understand that option is available for Windows. Thank you, Kevin. Thank you for that question. For those of you who might be thinking, what is Kevin talking about? Okay, this is the thing. CrazyTalk, at least for the Windows version, has the ability where I can go into my folder, grab a video, and drag and drop that onto my stage, and I can use that video as a prop or as a background. So I can basically play that video live inside my scene, and I can simulate as if that action is actually happening inside my stage window. So imagine if I have a video of an old episode of I Love Lucy per se, and then inside my CrazyTalk stage, I have a TV frame. I can grab that video of my I Love Lucy episode, put it into the frame of my TV, record, and that video will play live inside my CrazyTalk project. Unfortunately, this feature only works for CrazyTalk Windows version. This is because of the issues of the system that we use. We're using DirectX to do that inside Windows. In Mac, we need additional codecs. And I talked to the team about that. They've had issues with some of these codecs in the past, but people have requested this feature for Mac, and our development team is already, discussing about this future possibility for the Mac version to have a free update. I'm sorry, to get this feature. So again, I don't know exactly when. I don't know if it's going to happen for this version, but the development team already knows about this, and they've had instructions to start looking into it. So for now, that's all I have. Sorry about that. Um, Another question comes from Arcadius Drab. He says, "Hi, how to make a four-legged character?" Oh, that's a good question. Well, as you can see with CrazyTalk, we only have characters that are bipeds, right? Characters standing on their own 2 feet. But there are ways to make a dog or an elephant inside. What you would do is that you would grab a character like this, replace the body sprites to make it look like a dog or whatever animal you like, and then you can manually hunch that character over. You would do this by selecting your character and going into the 2D motion editor. You would have to do this manually, obviously. You would have to bend this character over and put his hands down on the floor as if he's walking on 4 legs. and then you would have to manually animate those legs moving as if he's walking. The advantage is that, yes, this might take some time, but once you create that first walking cycle, you can save this animation in your content manager. So you have that made, and in future projects, if you have a cat or another type of animal that you want to use, where you want to use that four-legged walking motion, you already have that animation saved in your content manager, so you can use it anytime you'd like. Okay. Another one comes from Ahmed Kamel. He says, how to apply BVH animation files to CrazyTalk Animator characters. Okay, Ahmed, for this, you need to have the 3D Exchange application. Let me go into our website here. Running out of time, but I think this is an important question. We have a 3D Exchange conversion tool. I'm going to go to Products and 3D Exchange. This is a tool that allows you to convert content from external sources so that you can use them with CrazyTalk, with iClone and CrazyTalk. So for example, if you have a prop, or if you have a character, or if you have a motion like a BVH, you bring this BVH file into 3D Exchange, and then you can convert that BVH and you can later use it inside of CrazyTalk. You have to convert it into an iMotion file, okay? But you wouldn't need 3D Exchange 5 to do that. Okay, let's see. I think I have time for one more question. Somebody I haven't replied to. Oh, we have a lot more, but we're running out of time here, so sorry about that. One more for Marissa Penafiel. She says, I have my own drawn characters. I can colorize them with Photoshop. My question is, if you have any tutorial on how to animate them. Pipeline is for Mac 2, right? Okay, for one question at a time. Yes, for CrazyTalk Animator 2, we have Standard, Pro, and Pipeline. All three versions are available both on Windows and on Mac operating systems, okay? The second question is, do you have a tutorial on how to animate them? So she says that she drew her characters and then she colored them in Photoshop. So she wants to animate them. So yes, we have tutorials for that. Let me show you where to go. Go to our main website. Okay, go to Reallusion.com. And then you want to choose the product. So go into products. We're going to go into 2D animation. And you want to select CrazyTalk Animator. This is so that we go into the landing page of CrazyTalk Animator 2. Then on the left side toolbar, you want to scroll down all the way where it says Training Resources. Click here. This will expand. And then click on Training Resources Home. Again, Reallusion main page, go to Products, and then click CrazyTalk Animator 2. This will bring you into the CrazyTalk Animator landing page. And on the left side toolbar, go to Training Resources, click on that, and Training Resources Home. This will bring you to all the online tutorials, free online tutorials that we have for CrazyTalk. And you can find all the tutorials you need inside. Okay, so we have tutorials for character creation, how to import from Flash, basic characters, how to import all those different body sprites, and then finally, how to create animations for lip syncing, for facial puppeteering, for basic body puppeteering, and then more advanced motion stuff like importing iClone motions, which is a question that Ahmed was asking us before. Okay, great. So that's all the time we have for now, people. So sorry we can't get to all your questions. Again, I'm going to type in my email here. You can send me some of your questions if you'd like. And when I have some time, I'll try my best to reply to everyone. Great. So thank you again. We really appreciate you taking the time to join this webinar. Please remember to check your email for that mail we're going to send you with a 50% discount. I think we also have a small survey in there. So we kindly ask you to please take 5 minutes to answer that, because that helps us a lot on how to improve these webinars for you. And, as usual, keep in touch. You can go into our website also and see what are the newest webinars that we have. This is done in the Reallusion main page, and just go down here for free webinar, and you can see what is the next webinar that we have and what the dates are. You can also look at the previous webinars that we've had. This is the one that we have for today. That is myself here, Enoc Burgos. And yes, that's it. In about 2 hours' time, you're going to get the video for this webinar that we just recorded. Again, thank you, everyone. Have a great day, and we'll see you again. Thank you. Goodbye.